Hello, welcome. I have promised you a while ago I would talk about passive reconnaissance, and today I'm going to do that. A while ago, we saw some active reconnaissance techniques involving especially the use of mmap and other tools to gain intelligence on the network and on the target machine or domain. Those techniques are active because they actively interact with the target, but that's not always the best choice, or probably it's not always feasible or allowed. You may always want to start from passive reconnaissance. Passive reconnaissance or open source intelligence, or OSINT, is practically conducted through techniques allowing you to retrieve information from public sources like domain registrars like ARIN for North America. And so you can start by retrieving information about domains uh, and stuff like that, and you go from there. Techniques I'm going to explain here can be applied both to domains and to persons. It doesn't change a lot. The same principles apply. So what we mean by open source intelligence. Say we want more information about our target website scammy.mmap.org. We can start gathering information by running command in the terminal, especially who is in a Unix Linux system. Otherwise, I'm going to show you other online tools you can use for a Windows system. On a Mac, you can use terminal to run this command. It doesn't tell us a lot. Let's try with another command. You see that I have a response providing me an IP address, and we already knew this IP address before. I'm gonna run dig on the same domain. And here we find practically the same information. I'm using Google as my DNS, so this IP address is confirmed. Now we could try using the American Registry for Internet Numbers, and you see search who is, so we can now try have more information about this domain. Anyways, probably a secondary domain from mmap.org, so it's no big deal if we don't find it. Well, anyway, we can have more information with this website, which is really good. And here we have a lot of more information, a big deal of information here. We see that the domain name is mmap.org. This is the registry domain ID. This is the registrar URL. And we might be able to find as well sometimes physical locations, like here we have the address. You see it's located in Seattle, Washington. And we have even a phone number and an email address. Now there is to say that not all companies fill in all this information for security purposes, because this is definitely a vulnerability. Now mmap provides basically the mmap scanner and a bunch of other related information and documentation, so they don't have probably huge databases to defend from intrusions, but that's anyway what we can find. Of course, the first thing you want to do is go into social media. Now, I don't have a Facebook account by choice, so I can't show you that, because of course social media includes Facebook, but you should keep that in mind, because people on Facebook post personal information that can help you understand more details about the way they behave, and sometimes about the passwords they might use. For example, the name of their pet or something like this. But we can use something like LinkedIn, where I'm present. Now, I don't want to involve anyone's privacy. I don't want to have legal issues, so I'm gonna do this about myself. I'm already logged in. As you can see, there's a lot of details about myself, the kind of education I have, where I studied, where I'm working at the moment. I'm not working, I'm a volunteer. Okay, pretty much what my interests are, and so on and so forth. You see my education, my endorsements, and so on. That's not very interesting. What can be interesting is this section here, because these are alike people, alike interest as mine. So you might want to get to these people through me or vice versa. So sometimes LinkedIn can be a really gold mine for this kind of stuff. And I had actually developed a script to look for people, and I'm going to show you real quick the way it works. This project is on GitHub, so looks like I forgot how to type. Sorry. Alright, I'm gonna perform this search about myself. I don't have a middle name, so you see only 3 websites, but the list could be longer. You can add to this list. Alright, so I can tell you right away, this is me. I worked for Binary Defense. So So you could open this profile and you see a bunch of information. You see a number of other information that could be related to me or not. I don't know this guy. It could be a relative of mine. I'm not sure about that. I don't know who this guy is. And you see that there are several guys with my same last name in the United States. I know I had some relatives, you know, but I'm not sure if they're related to me or not. But anyway, this is a start point. You can see I love the Who, but I'm an old fart, so. You can see this is another thing about myself. Of course, they try to charge you money to view this information, so you don't want to do that. So LinkedIn is an amazing tool because if I work for a company, in the section you're going to see my co-workers or my supervisor or maybe the CEO of my company. So you could get to other people through me and keep going and going. Of course, this is an introduction, so you may want to use more advanced tools. Like, for example, we'll talk about something else like I warmly recommend you to check this tool here. He's an amazing guy. He was at DEF CON and he inspired me to write some of my scripts. So those are very powerful reconnaissance tools. So you might want to check them out. Anyway, that's only an introduction. I will build on this concept and show you more advanced tools. But anyway, the takeaway from the concept of open source intelligence or passive reconnaissance is that you don't interact absolutely with the target. You only rely on public domain information or information anyway available through the internet without interacting in any way with the target. Now you can perform searches through Google or other search engines, but what's important is you don't click the links, because when you click the link to a company page, you interact with the target and your reconnaissance becomes an active reconnaissance. So the main concept underlying passive reconnaissance or open source intelligence, the way you want to call it, is that you don't interact with the target in any form. You don't run an mmap scan, you don't click a company link, you don't try to exploit directly a company website or a company machine, but you try to gather information to move to the next stage, which is exploitation and possibly privilege escalation. So you need in this stage to gather enough information without alerting the victim or target, the way you want to call it, in any way. You don't want to break any laws, so you simply run through public domain information and try to gather as much information as possible about what the target does. Of course, that's only an introduction, like I said. We can look and will look at much more stuff, like for example job postings from that specific company or organization, because they might reveal what kind of technology is used in the organization and what kind of security implementations and possible vulnerabilities exist. Sometimes when companies go through specific situations like mergers or acquisitions, they might go through a kind of a confusing stage, and that might be interesting for us, especially for black hat hackers, of course. But anyway, open source intelligence is very important because it allows us to define the scope of our pen test. Of course, you want to do it on the bright side with authorization from the company, or anyway the organization who owns that system. So if the pen test will is performed in the black box mode, but anyway, in general, passive reconnaissance is a must. So I hope this gives you a very good overview of what passive reconnaissance is, but I'm gonna build on this concept, and I'm gonna introduce you to more events and hands-on stuff that you can use to perform open source intelligence. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and stay tuned for the next part. Have a good one and keep following me. Bye bye.